I can hear
Check
you on
1,
mine.
2. Okay, there we go. So, welcome everyone. I've got Andrew Bachanov with me. He's got his own YouTube channel, and sorry we didn't have sound for a second there. I do apologize. You could say hello again, Andrew.
Oh, so we got another introduction?
Yeah, sorry, they couldn't hear anything.
All right. We're just waiting for people to come in anyways, right?
Yeah, there's only 4 people here now. But tell everybody hello. Yay, it's fixed. So yeah, we were just chatting about the Mandela Effect and how cool it is to try to figure out what's going on with it. I know a lot of people are waking up to this every day, and you know, it can freak you out at first because it just doesn't fit in with your worldview. You know, if you've got these ideas about what life's all about, and then all of a sudden it's like, what the heck is going on here? This is impossible. And it is. It's impossible. For most people's worldview, things are changing in an impossible way. And, you know, I feel bad for you, Drew, because I know you were aware of these changes so much longer than I was, man. And like at least over a year, I think, right? Was it 2016 or?
It's been a while, man. I haven't got track. Maybe that first video is day one. I made a video as soon as I saw it. So I don't know, man.
That's wild. Yeah, I made a video that first day too, because I had heard about it for a while, and I could never be sure that something changed, because I mean, it's so much easier to think your memory's bad than it is to think something impossible happens. But when you see something that you know has changed, you're just like, what the heck, man? What the heck? I know this was this way, but now it's changed. And it's mind-blowing.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird for sure.
Even Looney Tunes, I knew it had changed, but my mind just told myself I must be remembering wrong or something, because, you know, how did something change in an impossible way? And then you read the exploit.
I'm sorry, are you finding more and more people coming to the Mandela Effect more recently now? Or are you finding like more changes happening lately or anything like that? What is your take from it?
Man, it's just so hard to tell, because, you know, I don't know. At first, I thought things changed and people were just noticing them at different times. But then I started thinking maybe they're changing constantly, because I've had a few flip-flops happen that, like when I first realized it, it had changed to, what was the one? Houston, we've had a problem.
Yeah.
That's how it was. And I wasn't sure it was Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
But now it's changed back to Houston, we have a problem again. So now I know for sure it had changed the first time, and I just wasn't screwed up about it. Yeah.
That's a little weird. It is a little weird that happened. Too lately. I only got the hurricanes came and hit them and everything like that. So probably not that's probably not what they're talking about when it says Houston we've had or we have problems.
Right.
be just like a weird memory problem, right? Like maybe we got a faulty memory or something like that.
Yeah. And, you know, I've heard people come up with plausible messages within changes, and each one's equally as plausible. You know what I mean? We've done that with the T's. You know, I thought you had some interesting stuff with the T's, and then I felt like it was sort of mimicking the thinker statue, the way it had shifted all to one side. And,
yeah,
you know, but then you tell me your whole thing with the T's. I'm like, wow, that's just as cool. You know what I mean? So for the people that don't know about the T's being chopped off, I want to play a little bit of.
I don't think there's a left side anymore. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
The left side anymore on the T?
Yeah, and I was kind of picturing it as like the T's facing you, and it's moved to its left. You know what I mean? Like the thinker statues kind of shifted. So it depends on how you look at it. You know what I mean?
So you're saying it could be hidden. That one side could be hidden now or something like that?
Well, it's just like the thinker statue had shifted completely to the left side, and then even something's coming out the side of the head that wasn't there. And so I kind of pictured the T's are facing you, but they've kind of shifted to the left. But you saying how it got chopped off and now it looks like the iota, is it?
Well, I got stuck in the beginning, you know, like I called out the lambdas, you know what I'm saying, the different Greek letters that entered the logos. I mean, like my channel has kind of been geared toward what I call like the logos introduction or whatever. You know, obviously it's a Greek term and everything like that. Jesus introduced the logos, and in the beginning was the word, and that's in the book of John. And I mean, this is nowhere what it is, but this is kind of like a little angle, like a funny little angle. You know what I mean? Like I talked about the ET, you know, phone home to EP home phone. And then I talked about how the homophones changed, and I talked about that so we could talk about the logos, or which Greek is logos, but in English it's logos, actually the same. And then these Greek letters entered the logos or the logos one time, and a lot of it is based off of this weird Gematria language, or just noticing these things. Like it's just a very weird, complex pattern that took place. And you know, there's little rabbit holes everywhere you go. You know, this is a rabbit hole. This is a rabbit hole. This is a little trail here. A little trail over here. To not see any of the trails, you know, I don't know, man. You know, so that's what we're doing here on this channel in our discussions. Is like, what's going on here, man?
Yeah, and I've been blown away at how there's been like this sort of connection with different changes. I mean, not really looking at the changes specifically, but like, you know, you've got Sally Fields, and then Sally Beauty Supply. And then when you think of Sally Field of Dreams, you know, and it's sort of this connection of different things that's just like, man, things just keep connecting. And then Sally Field is Forrest Gump's mom in the movie Forrest Gump, where, you know, life was like a box of chocolates now, and it's just all this weird stuff.
We really need to get a whiteboard out, man, and really put all these things out on the wall. So, you know, so much stuff is going on. Like, oh, you're like, yeah, you're throwing out the field and the field of dream. Like, there probably is connections like this.
Yeah.
You know?
And my daughter said I should do that. Make a wall and have all the little things with little threads or yarn connecting things, and just, you know, I'm like, I can finally do that. I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to look like I lost my mind, but now that you gave me the idea, I can say you gave me the idea, and I won't look so bizarre. Like some detective working on a mystery, you know.
That's what this is, man. It's quite the mystery, man, in my opinion. You know, I got that you know, history is his story, my story is mystery. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how that goes.
Definitely.
It's definitely mysterious here. What's going on in there?
Oh, and you had one of the best explanations about the Moonraker that I've heard yet, because, you know, that scene makes no sense now. And, you know, for a lot of people that say, oh, there's just different timelines, you know, changing. I just can't imagine out of 1,000 different timelines, one timeline, she shows up without her braces on that day, and they're like, okay, let's go ahead and shoot it without the braces, because the scene requires her have those braces to make that connection with their metal on their teeth. But then, you know, you kind of brought up this cool thing about, you know, revealing what was behind the braces, and her teeth are perfect and shiny. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, like I said to you, you know, I said that I thought this thing was kind of a revealing. You know what I'm saying? Some people like hear a wake up call or a revealing, and when I talk about this codes and things, that they come from Revelation, which kind of means revealing. And I definitely think those races revealed some teeth, just like the effect has revealed a lot of things also.
Yeah, about just the nature of our reality in general. It's just wild. And today's a special day with the date.
It's a piece more question. Yeah. Oh yeah, today you said it's your daughter's birthday. Happy birthday to your daughter.
Yeah, happy birthday to Anastasia. It's her 23rd birthday, my oldest.
Yeah. All right, shout out to her.
But the funny thing is, while I'm on her birthday, is that she was my firstborn child. She was born 6 months after my birthday, which is March 30th. So there's just as many days between our birthdays each direction. You know what I mean? It's exactly as far apart as they can be in the year, 6 months apart. And then we were talking about how 3:30 is a special date, but also 9:30 today is a special date. And you were bringing out, what were you saying about that?
I couldn't hear you there at the end, but you can hear me okay?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay, no, today is September 30th, which on a date, you write it as 9:30. You know, in the 0 and the O, a lot of times they don't count in this language that we're talking about. So today is kind of like a 93 as far as the date goes, like 9:30, 93. And then it also leaves 93 days left in the year. And when I talk about the effect on some of the things that happen, like the Saturn logo, letters in Saturn, which is kind of like the controller, maybe the beast, if you will, in this little matrix or something that we live in. At least that's how I've seen it. But I do think that they connect the sun being 93 million miles away. And when you spell out all the letters to God's son, it also equals 93. I mean, 93 is just a huge, you know, number to the occult in overall. Even if you just put in a simple Google search 93, it'll give you all this stuff on like Lima and Aleister Crowley started a religion based off of this number. And it's really got a long, you know, but the fact that these things happen organic, opinion, really brings out the duality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for me, I talk about the 3374 connection, which is like, I don't know if you've heard this from me or not, but a couple guys have covered this before, but like the 33rd state in our country is Oregon. Like that was the 33rd state. And if you add up all the letters in Oregon, it will equal 74. 3374 connection, which like arsenic on the periodic table is the 33rd element, and arsenic, if you add them up, will equal 33, and it has an atomic weight of 74. And then there's a hurricane. For a hurricane, it has to be going per second or 74 miles per hour to be considered a hurricane. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of these 3374 connections that I talk about, especially like Jesus. If you add up every letter in Jesus, J-E-S-U-S, it equals 74, and he performed 33 miracles. And also he was killed at the age of 33, you know, on the cross. Stuff, and your birthday is 3:30, which obviously adds up to 33, or 3-3 like we talked about, and you were born in 74. So
that's wild.
That's 374 connection.
It's so funny when I looked up that date in the time of Jesus, I found out that was the date that Jesus came in riding on the donkey, and they were saying Hosanna. It was March 30th, and I thought that was kind of interesting when I was researching it a long time ago.
In fact, they even say when he was crucified that he was crucified between the time of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. So that's saving the 93 thing again. It's kind of weird, you know?
Yeah. And the police add up to 93, right?
Yeah, the police add up to 93, and they have a song called "Murder by." I mean, the other police, like the police band, have a song called "Murder by Numbers," where they're telling you the code of the song, you know.
That's
but
wild.
It's some weird stuff about this 93 number, man. I mean, they put the sun 93 million miles away. So it's kind of weird to me.
Also, didn't you say there was 93 days left in the year from today, the 9:30?
Yeah, from today, there's 93 days left in the year. And I break it down, like, if you spell out God's son, which is Jesus Christ, according, you know, Jesus Christ is God's son, you know, like, Jesus Christ, it will be equal 43 in reduction. And the date 4/3 or April 3rd is the 93rd day of the year, you know, and that was, you know, God's son Jesus. It's just a lot of weird things. It's kind of like a matrix of stuff, you know, like you can't say that this is the definitive of the way that it is. Evidences that you can see, and that they kind of start to you know, like relate to you. And then when you see things like, I'm sure you're like, man, I was born 3/30/74. Like that's what I thought. Like those are important dates. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially in the calendar. And it's really strange, man. I'm pretty excited for you. Like you told me that I just learned that information just a little while ago, and it's just another.
Yeah.
You know, another.
And weren't you born at 4:44? You were saying?
I was born exactly at 4:44. I have some weird timelines and stuff like that too. I did a video on it a while, but I deleted that. We'll see how it goes later on. I don't think my thing is random. I never thought that. I'm not just like I wouldn't expect for you to think that you were born on a random time, especially when you're listening to all this information, things like that, right? You can't be like, well, coincidence again. You know, I mean, that is just a term. Coincidence is just, I don't know, man. I'm just not a big fan of the word itself.
Yeah, me neither.
Automatically allows you to cut off so many things, so many possibilities. Like if you're, like you were talking about, if you have one belief, you couldn't be opened up to something else, you're going to close yourself off. Well, if you're open to everything as a coincidence, then you have immediately cut yourself off.
That's true. So. And my experience has been that with synchronicities and things like that, they happen way too often to be coincidental at this point. And that's been revealed to me just since the Mandela Effect, you know? Day after day.
That's what a revealing is. You know what I'm saying? The braces are off. That's what I was yelling in the screen. One video, I'm like, the braces are off! The only way
So,
but I don't know.
What advice would you have to somebody that's just now waking up? Because I noticed a lot of people seem to wake up at the equinox last year, and then the equinox, you know, the spring and the fall, which we just had one, like another one a week ago or whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of was planning for, that's why I did that back to basics, Mandela Effect, because I sort of expected a slew of people to wake up to it again around this half point, you know, of the sun traveling over the equator, supposedly. So, do you have any advice for people just waking up or anything that probably feel like they're going crazy?
I don't have too much. Just stay in the light, if you will. You know what I mean? Just be positive and try not to freak yourself out too much and come off too crazy to all of your friends and family. I mean, yeah, the Berenstein Bears, in my opinion, were always the Berenstein. It's just the same. You know, nothing too crazy has happened. Just a couple of little things have changed and things like that. Maybe give you a sign. You know, maybe somebody wants to give you a little nudge out there. Check some things out. You know, and just relax a little bit. Like. But, you know, it's a little bit weird, like, what position I want to be in. Like, because, you know, obviously, this is, I told my girl about this. Like, the people that learned about the eclipses, like, you can't learn about the eclipse people that it's something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you know, like, oh, they did all these rituals and then, they know how to move you know, put the moon in front of the sun, and because they know when the eclipse is coming, you know what I mean? Like, everyone, I think this is a lot of self-interpretation. What to do with what you got going on, just another evaluation as an individual, or check out these groups of people that are waking up and really changing the way they like to live their lives and the way they think. You know, that we were put into a box. We were all put into a little tiny box. And, you know, there was a lot of teachings from my man, you know, like I'm JC. Always relate to that. I mean, you don't have the Bible's long. I suggest everyone at least check it out. You know, we're here for a long time, so at least check it out. But if you can look at some top quotes, maybe get in with a couple of things, get a couple of the main ideas, you know, maybe that helps you out a little bit in some type of way. You know, what is your take? What would you tell somebody? You've been on here too.
Yeah, just to relax, but not go back to sleep. You know,
don't go back to sleep.
It's like the main thing. It's like it's a wake up call, but it's not supposed to wake you up to freaking out. It's supposed to wake you up that there's more than just the daily grind of life, and to, you know, look a little bit deeper at life. But like I said, don't freak out about it, because, you know, when people see it, man, it's easy to freak out about it, because you're like, you know, God, there's a host of thoughts that went through my mind, dude. Like, have I died? Have I gone to, you know, this dark world? Did something happen? Just so many horrible things that, you know, you would never even think of if you didn't truly believe or truly see this happening. You know what I mean? Those thoughts wouldn't even cross your mind. But when you see that they're happening, man, it can be pretty freaky.
I watched a video, you know, they talk about like it's the power of suggestion. Like so many people are suggesting that things change, then now you change. Like I think most of the people on here are kind of like truthers. Like they're not taking the official stories. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, like no, 9/11. You know what I'm saying? They're screaming about something like, yo, we're not listening to the narrative. You know, like I feel like this is for people that don't listen to the narrative because it's. I like that the narrative is being a bad memory or something like that. They only shot themselves in the foot. Like I would have thought no comment. You know what I mean? Like no comment. But don't go saying it like dimensions, you know, because there's been a couple of mainstream articles on the Mandela Effect also.
Yeah.
Right? And so I thought they should have just ignored it altogether. And I don't, you know, most things people don't even pay attention to unless the media talks about it. Anyways, you know, like there could be some weird, wild, you know, revelation for you, and then you come out here and tell everybody on it. And as long as the TV doesn't tell anybody about it, then it probably isn't even going to be anything anyway.
Exactly. That's so true. And that's so funny because I thought by them coming out and saying the hurricanes caused the water to leave the bays and stuff, did you see that? You saw the dry shores where the water receded from the shores of all these different places. They blame it on the hurricane sucking the water out. I'm like, that's such a crappy explanation. And then there's not hurricanes everywhere it happens. So it's clear that they just made some crap up. You know what I mean?
It's what they do, man. It's just what they do. I mean, like, there's weird ways of thinking about something. Like, for me, I at least, like, I know these people are kind of lying and in charge, but I sometimes want to know if it's for, like, a decent purpose. Like, how does society act if everything was open? You know what I mean? Maybe, like, we've lived through this a couple times, and we found that maybe this is a better route. Like, we've actually gone without war. I mean, I know we go overseas, and our troops do whatever it is that they do that I can, you know, I'm kind of ignorant to, but as far as I can see, like there's not really like a lot of war. Like, you know, when you're in history class, you learn about wars that have been fought ever since the beginning of time and things like that. And it seems like, you know, the least amount of deaths and killings ever, you know. So it's kind of like a weird thing, you know, like, is it for good? Is it's kind of a bad thing? You know, I don't know. I try to understand it from their position, and I don't. That's why I like discussing it from this, you know, because I don't see the reason why they lied to the people so often. I don't.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's funny because we were talking before the broadcast about how Jesus said to be in the world, but not of it. And I think that's a big part of it because you just never know what kind of crap they're feeding you. You know what I mean? It's almost better to not be engaged in like the rumors that, you know, North Korea is going to fire some nukes off, or that this and that are happening, because it just gets you riled up. It gets you resonating in either fear or anger with the race stuff that's going around. That just, you know, even people that are just sitting at home watch that, they get angry just sitting there watching what's going on. And it's,
I get angry when I see it too, man. But those kind of things, like when
crazy.
you get angry from watching something like that, like that's how you should know that's what you're not supposed to be watching, you know? And then you should also not be letting they can literally control, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm being controlled by somebody else. Like, none of this is relevant to my life. I've been cool with whoever I've met before. My life has been cool. And, you know, you don't want to stay in a bubble like, oh, I'm going to be ignorant to what's going on in the world, you know? But I'm not going to be told a false narrative, you know, this crazy narrative either, you know? I'm middle ground here. You know, no, this stuff doesn't happen in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no reason. I'm not surfboarding the American flag, and I'm not boasting it around everywhere either. Like, I'm just in a middle ground place, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Most people usually are, until somebody gets them riled up one way or the other way.
Yeah, but then if you get involved with watching that stuff and you get angry, and then you go to work and you start discussing it with other people and their views differ than from yours, then it creates, you know, this whole fight that would have never been there if you just sort of just pushed it away, treated people with love like you always do, and just kind of ignored the media with all that crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they got some weird, you know, in the little Gematria stuff, you know, like Fox News. Like, it might as well be called 666 News and the Gematria language. And yeah, I think the CNN, I thought those letters kind of merged together between the CN and the N, and they kind of look a little funny to me now, too. You
on
know?
CNN?
So I don't really worry with, yeah, on CNN. Like, all the letters are merged, but they kind of got like a little going on. I don't know if they do or not. I just what I kind of remember. I'm just not a fan of the news anymore. College back when I was in college, I had to take all these. I was a political science major, so I was like stuffed with politics and media and like all these classes, like journalism, all these courses like that. And I used to try to have a different point of view of what's going on a little bit. No room for that. And that was like, and I was only like poking the bear a little bit, but I forget what I was getting to with that story. But I bought Bitcoin. Bitcoin was at like $15. You know what I'm saying? It's like $4,200 today. You know what I mean? I mean, I sold a lot of them along the way, but I yelled and screamed my hardest to find anyone to just buy a single Bitcoin back in the day. And like, I didn't convince a single person to do it. I don't even worry about trying to convince people sometimes anymore, man. So it's no big deal.
That's a good one to be on right there, because that was lucrative for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, the cryptocurrencies and things like that.
Yeah. In fact, I think I heard who was Oprah Winfrey got in with Nike right in the very beginning and made a boatload of money from that.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about Nike? Like, you know, because these codes, this 39, because 39 is a reflection of 93, and that's obviously not too big of a deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
But has a little Saturn swoosh. You know what I'm saying? And it will equal 39 in Gematria. And then there's also another company called like Newport equals 39. And it has like the other swoosh to the Saturn ring. So you put the Newport ring and the Nike ring together, you got like a perfect Saturn ring. And they both equal 39, just like the guy Dan Aykroyd used to. Dan Aykroyd's name, like I always say before it changed, was a 3993 name. 93 or no, then now it's different. You know what I mean? And that was like that 39, 93, weird stuff like that. If you guys should check out my channel, I got a couple of, you know, the guys that are good at Gematria and pointing out. Like, I don't do all the Gematria, but this guy Zenith in the Alpha, and obviously this guy Zachary Hubbard has been on it since the beginning. He taught me initially how to do this stuff and everything. I look at him like a teacher. You know, the guy's a teacher. I don't agree with most of the things he says, but he's putting some information out there that you can't. It's just like you don't take anything from anybody. You know what I'm saying? Don't take all the information from one person. That's just how I feel.
That's sort of been my whole thing. Yeah, it's just from the fence, you can sort of grab the little nuggets of truth from everybody, because everybody builds around some sort of truth, you know?
And that's hard too, because if you have your channel and you find, you know, like, and, you know, I kind of worry about this too, was when I had my channel going, was you don't listen, you know, like you listen to the people, you know what I'm saying? You listen to what's going on, and then you react to the comments and you make adjustments and things like that. And then new information comes in, and you react to new information and things, you know? I've tried so hard to get a channel that was on one way and then try to show them something different. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I don't know.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man. That's a great quality you have in yourself, man. I think of people on your channel appreciate that also.
I appreciate that, Drew. Yeah, Salted Cedar, I appreciate you putting the link in there. I wanted to let you guys know it's also in the description. If you're watching this later, you can click I actually have a link to his channel and a link to his latest video, his live stream. So you can go check out his channel and subscribe, because I do appreciate him coming on. He's got great information. And when I came across this stuff, I just was engulfed in just watching all of his videos and catching up and watching them evolve, just like I did, you know, because you sort of freak out at first, and then you calm down about it and just figure it out along the way, you know. So we've been on this journey, and I was way late to the party compared to you, man.
I mean, sometimes you could say something change. I mean, who knows when the party started? You know what I mean? It may be different for each individual, you know, and it may be on purpose. I feel like there may be a purpose for the reasoning behind that also. I'm not happy for coincidence, you know. So if you're someone on my channel or someone watching us right now, I mean, congratulations. You know what I mean? We're talking about some cutting edge, you know, new things that happen in the world. This is not something you're catching anywhere. I mean, there's a couple channels talking about it, but they're not in the same direction, their timeline, or have been drifted to another dimension or something like that.
Or
you know, there's other
CERN.
channels.
That's probably the worst.
Or CERN. But over here, we're going to actually try to figure out maybe what happened with it. You know.
Yeah, CERN is a dead end. I mean, even if it was CERN, it's still a dead end because what are you going to do with that information? So,
like, put a tinfoil hat on and watch your CERN YouTube videos and wait for them to turn on that large LHD.
Yeah.
And then when all the demons come through, you know what I'm saying? Like, where do you get? Like, where's the end game for all these things? You know? So I don't know.
Oh man, Unirock had the pamphlet where it was showing like all the different things that are Mandela effects. Like it had Darth Vader on there, and it had Alice in Wonderland, and all these things. And then there's that happy video where the guy's holding up the sign that says Bond won, and then Mandela underneath it, and it's like they couldn't be any more obvious about wanting to take the credit for this whole thing. And I think if they were doing that, they wouldn't want the credit, and they would be making money off of it some way. You know what I mean?
In some way, you know what I mean, doing something. But I don't know, man. I actually take the position that they mock us. Like they're really just a mocking. It's not like you know, I don't even think they're trying to take claim. I think it's just like put out with some things in it, and then we'll see what happens. You know, I mean, I don't know. You know, everything's perception. So if you can perceive what an evil person that's watching these things, you know, what are they coming up with? That's just one of the things that I think that people, you know, just throw a little bit.
Yeah, I totally get that. Hey, Schmeenix. Hey, Schmeenix, if you're not subscribed to this guy, you'll definitely want to. Schmeenix has been getting into the number thing too, and the Gematrinator, and he's got a few videos he put out. You guys can check out his channel too, but he was plugging numbers in there and seeing how the changed the, you know, the value of the number, which is totally cool. Right along, you know, the line of what you're doing. But we're all just novice at this anyway. Nobody's saying there's a. I kind of put you off as a professional.
I was hoping it's a really good. I've just been watching. I used to just like watch them, and I do them at the house, and I have like a way that I do that I see it. Credit to other people that they're just. But I would like for them to you know, use their talent, like what you said. Like a specialist doesn't really see it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get a specialist to get on. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you check this out. You run this. You check the math on it or whatever. You know, and then, but it's just not really being. It's not really finding anybody in the Gematria world either, I guess. But, I mean, Demons to the Alpha, like I said, he actually did a video on he called it the logos, and he did all these numbers to the logos and everything like that. It was pretty cool, man.
I was just looking at, I guess it was, I can't remember what channel. I don't want to give credit where it wasn't really at, because somebody might go looking for the video. But it was the Chevron logo, and the red on the top and the blue on the bottom, and now it's blue on the top and red on the bottom. I think it was Scarborough, or not, I'm sorry, Scarab Performance, that showed how, you know, the colors had swapped on the Chevron logo. And there was even, you know, evidence of it being Chevron before instead of Chevron. And but I don't know if people misspelled it or whatever, but crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe it seems like we have, you know, like even when you find somebody on the same page, like if you have an even keel, kind of like what we do, you know what I'm saying, like what we got kind of going on. If you tell me one thing's changed and I see it as different or something, it doesn't mean anybody's right or anybody's wrong. You know what I mean? It's just that kind of something weird has happened.
Yeah.
You know, that's all that's really happened. Let's just call, you know, like, why is it that this person remembers it? Like, let's just try to figure it out. If the person is not very smart or doesn't know what they're talking about, then you can be like, all right, I'll dismiss that. But these are pretty intelligent people coming forward with like how that always was, you know.
Yeah. So. And just to set the record straight, I know when I say that you saw it in the beginning, there's people that say this has been going on since the 80s. So I want to make it clear that there's people that said it's been always happening and we're just now noticing. So I don't want to discount those people either, because there's some people that, you know, if I saw something as a kid, I would have thought it was my memory. And the older I got, the less I trusted my memory. So it was like, I don't know that I would have noticed it. I know now or laters were now or laters when I was a kid. I have no idea when they changed to now and laters, but I know for a fact they were now or laters. You know?
Yeah, there's something weird to it, man. For me, when I did the video, I thought I had like not like just seen, but kind of, you know, seen so many. Like I thought I had like 100 or a couple hundred. I was at my first week. I didn't sleep the first week. I was like on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I could say I like made discoveries or something like that. Like there was one girl that had a really good channel, and she talked about the Berenstain Bears, you know, Febreze. Like there was like 6 or 7 beginning core ones, you know. But I came to her video after like freaking out in the real world. You know, I was like talking to my friend, like, oh, something's different. Like, you see this Taco Bell thing? You know, I'm talking kind of weird to him. You know what I mean? And then this video pops up, and then I was blown away by her video. And then this guy, Photo Helix, came on with the next one, and he goes, "Cage!" Like, I mean, this guy was freaking out. You know what I'm saying? He was like in some cave or something. And he's like, "Oh, the Bible, got hit." Like, oh. But it felt like the whole world was changing all of a sudden. Like everything in my house was. It was like an actual shift. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, it felt like the war. You know what I'm saying? Like you just entered into this. Whoop, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, it was all kind of like at one time. Seeing so many ships and so many things talking about and having. So it's just a weird position to be in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's all. You know, like, oh, this has happened, this has happened. You know, I thought it happened here. But, you know, let's take all of their information. Let's see what they have to say about it, you know.
Yeah.
Perspective. You know, everything's perspective, you know what I mean? Like, have you seen the New Arrivals channel? He's a deep spiritual guy, and he's really big. And we had a great talk on perspective and things like that. You know, he's like, you know, he only knows what's going to happen in this world through his eyes and through his experiences and things like that. Just agree with him. You know what I mean? That's all that you can go by. That's all that this person can go by. What do you see? You know what I mean? Let's try to figure out what we all see and see if we can come up with an image, you know?
Right. Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, because it can be pretty... I was reading a comment. Man, that just looks funny. Jim Carrey with the 2 R's. Somebody just typed his name in there, and once again, it stood out as being really wrong with that extra R in there.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say it because, you know, I'm not sure of it myself. But man, when something keeps standing out as being misspelled, like the Black Crows, every time I saw it with that extra E in there, it was like, what the heck? That doesn't look right with the E in there. You know?
I work for FedEx, and I have a delivery. I deliver to this guy named Andrew Zimmerman. It's spelled exactly Andrew Zimmerman, like the old way it was for the old, you know, now it's Andrew Zimmern. But I try to get a hold of this guy every time, man. I'm knocking on his door. He's never home, man. I must have delivered like 10 times to him. Like, yo, what was the Andrew Zimmerman's name? If you got the same exact name.
Yeah. How come it's like that for the Berenstain Bears for people.
Yeah. Like, how come his name is Berenstain?
I thought that one was funny because I kind of saw it as left bare and stained. You know what I mean? That's just the name changing. It could just mean like broken up into 2 words, you know.
Bare and stained.
Yeah, you're like naked and stained.
But like in the beginning, I was putting out weirdness because, you know, there's different bears thing. Even the, you know, the Smoky Bear.
Oh yeah.
Like Smokey the Bear. You know what I'm saying? Smoky Bear, and then you come with the bear and stains and stuff. Like, it's some weird stuff, man. So I'm here in Colorado. We go to the Rocky Mountain National Park. Smoky Bear signs all over the place. And I like tap people all the time. I mess around with my girl. I try to be weird. I don't talk to a lot of people. So I just kind of bring up effects. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what is this? You know, and then people say it, and I just kind of continue on. You know what I mean? But hey, what's the name of the bear that prevents forest fires? I'm like sitting there pointing at the sign where it says Smoky Bear. And the guy's just like, this is just a weird guy, you know? No big deal. You know?
Yeah, it's hard to be around other people that don't see it, man, because, gosh, it's almost just as freaky the way people respond as the changes themselves. It's like, how did they just brush that off or just look at their phone and ignore you? Or, you know, I was telling you the other day that, or was it yesterday, that my daughter's boyfriend responded like I always expected somebody to respond. You know what I mean? Where they actually were like, what, really? And then you show them and they're like, what? Freaking out about it. You know, I always expected everybody to act like that. And he was the first one out of dozens of people that I've told about it. You know, it's just mind blowing.
Dude, my first week, I went over to a friend of mine's house, right? And he had like a couple buddies over that were drinking, and I was like, God, you're not gonna check this. I like told it to him, super creepy. You know, I told him the bear scene where the bear stayed in the creepiest way possible. You know, this guy just started crying. He started tearing up. I was deep into him. I was like, "Go check this out," and he said, "I don't know what it is, man. Something freaks me out. I don't know what's going on, but something's going on." That was such a long time ago, man.
But that's
a year and a half, you know.
It's still a reaction that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought so too. You know.
But most people, you don't get that.
Yeah. Well, because it's you know, I mean, we're all pretty cool, right? We all got to stay cool. You know, like you know, you got to be like, you know, like say something to you, and you're like, whoa, oh my God, you know, like you got to stay cool. But yeah, that's why it's weird telling people these things. They want to keep their cool, but you know their mind is blown at the same time. Like there's things that are not like that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Wait a minute.
Right. It's almost like in the back of your mind, you think, am I going to wake up from a weird dream here? You know what I mean? It's been too long for that, though.
For sure. I got what's up? Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you have any thoughts on the Bible changes at all?
I've been staying away from it because I got to stay away from that, man, because the channel, I can't be geared that on the channel. You know, that was my original thing. You know, that's what started. That was the original. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I got to be more humble, you know what I'm saying, to the audience and everything like that. Like, in that book, I can't sit there and tell you that this is the way it is 100%. I can try to relate some things. Like, if I can show you something simple like a Berenstein, but maybe we can talk about something else later on down the road. But I noticed that if you start trying to bring that out, it becomes like this is a deception and this is a way to bring people away from it. That's not what I'm aiming to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. So, besides logos, what about songs? Is there any songs that really stand out as odd to you? I know we talked last time about the.
I mean, you know who will save your souls? Yeah, the "Oh Lord," or "Who will save your souls," or "Beginning," or "Pretending to Pray," or "The City of Angels." I mean, those are some pretty commonalities. Like those four songs, 4 words. They're like, for biblical terms, if anything.
Oh yeah.
And so, like, maybe it's some sort of, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah. I mean, we talk about how. So I don't understand how people haven't made the connection. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, if you're seeing all those things, like, when that one guy sing this thing, like, closing the goddamn door, you know what I'm saying? But it's not that anymore. But the equals 33. It's like closing. It's like, all right, you want to be a little blasphemous. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, those things are related, you know. But however someone wants to interpret them, you know, there's no changing people's minds. You can just say, hey, look, these things are connected here. You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of technology out of nowhere, all of a sudden, leaves evidence? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much evidence of karaoke singers and things like that, and you know, and everything you're about remembers things this way, and then it's changed, and there's a connection to these changes, but people, we ignore things all the time. As human beings, we ignore things all the time. You know, like, I can't stress that. You know, and I know you've seen it when you're trying to any direction in life. You know, whether, you know, if you got your own business and you want to, you know, get a young guy to try to learn how to do some things so we can better, you know, it's just always hard, you know, grabbing people's attention. Like, hey, man, look at this, you know, and you don't know which way to take. You know, like in the beginning, I was, you know, if we shake somebody, like, do you really got to shake them? Like, hey, come check this out. Is it our job to shake people now? You know what I'm saying? Like, because now, like, only so many people see it. And we're talking, I mean, it may be a lot of people, but it's still small on a percentage-wise. You know, like, nobody on these Mandela Effect channels ever sees anybody in public that conversation with, I don't think. I've never had that really happen in public, so.
Yeah, I've had one person that I knew, and she was the sweetest lady, and she could see them, but man, most people, they're just unsure about it. Kind of like I was at first. You know, I could kind of see how it seemed like a change, but I just wasn't sure about it until I saw that statue change, and I was like, what? But what about the changes to the body? Do you have any thoughts on how we got a bigger heart and it's in the middle now? Are those things that affect you? Do you remember it being on the left? Stuff like that?
Yeah, man. Well, you know, you know, it becomes story time. I don't mean for it to become story, but everybody has a personal relationship. Like if you remember, you know, doing your Pledge of Allegiance, or somebody had, you know, everybody has a moment like their heart. You know what I mean? Somehow in your life, you've had something happen with your heart, or you know, anything of your body that you can probably have a very memorable impression of. You know. And no, when I was young, I had this weird disease called like Kawasaki's disease as a child. I don't really know what it is anymore or anything like that. But they went in there and went through the catheter and all that stuff like that. We saw it on the scale, and I used to freak out about how it was always there. I used to like freak out to my old, you know what I'm saying, to all my people, because I think that you can see some symmetry in the creation of our human body.
Yeah.
If the creator, like if you're getting created, like how would they maybe do it? And not to say that I understand it by any means, but I at least attempt to try to understand it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Heard about the, you know, the heart's over here and it's in charge of pumping all the blood. Like, yeah, does it go in a big loop? You know what I mean? From here all the way back around. You know what I mean? So there's some weird things to it. I remember it always over here, of course. It's over here. I never remembered anything. Nothing ever changed things, but I know the textbook has changed, and I know that the images of the pictures on Google and stuff like that have changed. You know, but I still feel the same. You know, I don't know. Some people, they feel like they've been upgraded, and I like that. You know, that was kind of cool. If it makes you people feel upgraded, you know, like I mean, a placebo effect is a great effect, and even if it happens, it's even better for you.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so just the fact that there's just changes overall. You know what I mean? It's just such a huge concept and so much to grasp all of the time. Like, what does it mean to you about the heart being in the middle?
Well, for me personally, I was having heart problems, and I was kind of worried about it. I'd have pains over there, and you know, I remember talking to my doctor and everything. And then when I heard it got moved, I still didn't think it moved within my body, but I had my son listen. I'm like, listen to my chest, see if I can hear it over there. But no, it's definitely right there. It's really loud right there. And I'm like, really? That's just so wild. It's just changed right inside my body, you know? It's just mind blowing. And I know it sounds crazy, but
I know it's crazy, but I'm cool with it. You know, I'm not running away from your chair. I'm cool with it. So,
what about geographical changes? Did you notice anything?
Yeah.
I mean, most people notice South America looks like it moved, but
for me, I don't know what's going on with the way I view that Italy and Sicily. You know, I like legitly view this like I had a memory. You know what we talk about? Like they talk about the word dilemma, or if it's an N or an M. You know, the N is silent like the night. You know, you just have memory things. You know, and I remember the big giant soccer, you know, the football, the leg or the boot kicking the soccer ball. You know, that's just how I remember that, you know, and it's like right there on top of it. So if you tell somebody it kind of looks the same, you know, it doesn't really freak anybody out. But to me, that was like a huge freak out. I'm like, go away. But, you know, like, what do you do with that? You know, like there's people in Italy that are like, dude, this guy's crazy. Like, right. Always the same, you know, and that person is a lot more, you know, like his word is more credible than the crazy guy on YouTube. Hey, he's different. You know what I'm saying? I'm freaking out about it.
That is wild because, yeah, people are going to trust the guy that's lived there all of his life or whatever.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So,
and then just the whole fact that two realities can exist simultaneously just sounds bizarre in and of itself. You know what I mean?
Well, we all got, you know, we're all just like perceiving out of our mind. And that's that crazy stuff Jim Carrey was talking about. You know, we're in these flesh suits or whatever, and we have these certain perceptions and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, certain code, or I think there was this movie Grandma's Boy where you can just alter those things a different color. You know, that's what they say, you know, real simple. You can change all of them a different color real quick or do this. And But then, like, you know, in that movie, in the show Westworld, I hate comparing TV shows. I don't mean to do that. But in the show Westworld, you know, people have different programs and things like that. And people see, and you don't even know what other people see nowadays. You know, right? It's like, that's why we trust, like, artists and musicians and things like that. Some of these people take their you know, their senses to, in a, you know, a certain level of things, and they share it with the rest of us, you know, and that's how we keep on prospering. I feel like, but that's what I want to share with the effect. You know, it's like, that's all we want to share, because, you know, we've been given like almost like an artist point of view. We have to be able to see what we've seen, you know, see what we've been able to, you know, interpret, and then pass it on in a way that the people are, you know, people are going to see what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of imagining the whole universe, and this gets back to Greg's question he had the other day. I see he's in the chat. He was kind of asking, how would somebody pull these changes off? And I kind of see our existence as all thought form in a way. Like, if you were to travel to the past, you're really traveling to the thoughts of the past and the, you know, our now. Like, there's really, everything's really now. They say that, you know, the whole idea of time is sort of an illusion. And that gets into actually how you were saying the T's and the word time.
Well, I think time is the beast. I think I'm sorry. I think the word time is the beast. That's what gets us all in the end.
Yeah.
Time is what gets us all. You know, and there's a keeper of time. You know, there's a whole like theologies based off of Saturn and Saturnalia, and then Satan into the Bible and things like that. Those things exist. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the one coming up with this stuff. And I do think that we're in something, you know, because there's something that can happen. You know, it seems like most people's minds are trapped.
Right.
It's like that's the most that I can see for, like, you know, what's really going on around here. It's not that the way you know, I see it or you see it, but it really seems like the majority of people are just kind of just spinning these wheels towards something that's or something.
Well, have we talked? I know we talked privately. I don't know if we mentioned it during this broadcast about how T adds up the word time and all that, because I think
the word T connects to the time. I think a lot of these changes happen around, you know, the beast or whatever, things like that, or to see it, 20th letter in the alphabet, right? Like, if you do A is 1, B, 2, C, 3. Well, T is the 20th letter in the alphabet, and I think it relates to time. T is the 20th letter, but that equals 2 in Gematria, in a reduction form. M is the 13th letter, but it becomes 4 and then 5. Well, either way, when you add up the letters of time, it equals 20. So T and time both equal 20. What weird is when you write out time in a reverse reduction way, which is like it's the same exact thing, it's totally relevant. It's also 25. And the 25th prime number is 97, and when you convert 97 to time, that's 1 hour and 37 minutes. The 33rd prime number. Now, the letter T, like THELETTER, T, in reverse, it will also equal 137. You know, and time, because also if you write out the word time, let's see, 20 plus I is 29. Plus 14 plus 5 equals 47. You know, that's time. And then also the 25th prime, which is 97. The 97th day of the year is April 7th. Just like what time equals. I know we can get a little lost in all the numbers and things like that, but T and time are really, I mean, we talk about the 47 degrees. You know, time is measured by the sun, right? Like the way it goes around, and it goes around the solstice from 23.5 degrees, 23.5 degrees. That's 47 degrees. Sun's 47 degrees. The time also equals 47. You know what I'm saying? And the letter T is connected to this time thing. And the logos have kind of changed. All these T's are different, you know? So, I mean, I don't know, like, exactly why. I thought it was, like I told you, an iota, a Greek letter, a few Greek letters into the logos and stuff like that. But to see the connections between T and the time, also, there could be anything there. You know, so we're just throwing stuff out there. So if you see some connections or anything like that, you know,
that's wild. Let me also mention while we're talking about the T's that I have a link below to Moneybags 73's channel, because he shows a bunch of the how the T's changed, and he's combined them all, and as a combined effort of a lot of different channels. And actually, you called a lot of them in the beginning, didn't you, Drew?
Maybe, I don't know. Well, it was easy because I thought just look through that was me in the beginning. Look through these logos, look through the logos, and then see which things are going to pop up in each one and see if they're different, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff Oreos, you know what I'm saying? Like STUF, that equals 66. I'm telling you, the Berenstein Bears is the 33 code. All these companies now have this weird 33 in their company. It says in the book that, you know, during the end time. Now, that's just my thing, is I always thought it was like a government, because I know the government really owns these companies.
Right.
The ones that are like the real owners of these companies, and then they have like shills that pretend that they own these things, like Amazon. Jeff Bezos just bought Whole Foods for $1.37 billion. You know what I'm saying? It's not like 137 that we're talking about. It's not like these are real things that are happening. You know, I don't know, man. It's like Sprint equals 33, and then Jay-Z sold 1/3 of this company to Sprint for $33 million. You know what I mean? Like, are these even real? Like, is this what we're negotiating? Is this the negotiation table? Like, you know, let's talk about the cabal. Like, let's do 1.37. Like, what are we talking about? That's weird.
And once you see that stuff, I mean, like, man, I don't know how far back you have been doing the numbers or whatever, but you look at like 9/11, and you look at Flight 93, and then like all these numbers start popping out that you're like, wait a minute.
Flight 93 had 33 passengers on it. Yeah, that's what we talk about. Your daughter was born on 9. Yeah, look it up. Flight 93 had 33 passengers on 9/11, which 9/11 is the 156th prime number. 33, like THIR, it will equal 156. It will equal 666. It will equal the number of a man. The scripture that says, "Here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding." Berenstein Bears Gematria, in my opinion. Like, exactly what the Berenstein, and it's showing you the same. You know,
that's so wild, man. And, you know, I don't even know what floors they hit, but I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, one hit at this floor and that's a certain number. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was like 70. I don't know. I don't want to get into it. The guy Hubbard does an amazing job on it. You know what I'm saying? He talks about the whole cabal, the event. He introduced me to this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But like, we just have different views, you know, as a foundation. You know what I mean? He has like it's just a little different. So some information, it's perspective. You know, I have a different perspective than he does.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I don't think he's wrong. Maybe I'm the gullible one. You know what I'm saying? But I've seen some changes happen. You know what I'm saying? So I try to follow changes now. You know, so that's like my little niche. You know what I'm saying?
That's how I was about the whole Ariana Grande thing. And, you know, I've tried to stay away from that because people came in and they were, you know, pissed that I would say that it was a false flag and things like that. But I'm like, look at the date, look at the time, look at all this stuff. Because I was just starting to realize all this stuff. And, you know, I see it hits at 10:33. It happened on 6/22. And I'm like, look at all the 11s and stuff, you know. I know 22 is a big one. And then
that's that master builder number 22. I tried, man. I wish I could. All my family members have weird dates. Like, so I kind of built the story like around, you know what I'm saying, like my members of the, and then people like, you know what I'm saying, and even you have these 3374 connections. But like, there's some weird things that just happen all the time. You know what I mean? Like you know, like to it, but you know, my brother, you know, his birth date is the same as my name numerology. And then he signed to the Angels out in LA, like I said. These changes, I use them to talk to my family. I use a lot of them to talk to my family. I'm like, this is I use it like it's about you. I mean, it's kind of narcissistic. I'm like, I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna use this change to tell you that you need to do this. Cause I was kind of, I don't know. And they're like, "Fuck,
man, you would think he would notice that too, but I've been really surprised because I'll think, you know, like I thought my sister would see the whole Sally's Beauty Supply thing, but you know, it's always been Sally Beauty Supply. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, Sally.
That's crazy.
Well, his name's John, so I told him that this stuff is from the book of John. This stuff is John, and then I got another brother named Kyle, right? So I talk about there's these weird things with circles and pies, things like that. And my brother Kyle, August 31st. So if you did, that's the date 318. Like in the way everyone else in the world writes it, it'd be 31/8.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this scripture from like Exodus 33:33 where they talk about Jesus. He gives himself his name, which is the I am, tetragram. In that scripture from Exodus 33, he explains his name, but it's like the pi formula, and 22 divided by 7 is pi. Try it out, 22 divided by 7, like, and add up those letters, it will equal like 314, which is like pi 3.14.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the inverse of 22 divided by 7 is 7 divided by 22, which is 0.318. So I really talked to my brother about it because his name, Kyle, it could equal 318. His birth date is 318, and 18 days apart. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So like
That's wild,
I try to tell him this stuff. You know what I mean? I tell him, what do you think about this, man? And then the date. It's a lot of biblical connections that I try to bring him to. I'm like, and how am I going to get him to deny this thing? Like, I'm using your birthday. And I'm saying, I'm using your stuff. Like, this is your name. I didn't give you this name. This is what's happening. Like, I don't know. It's just weird, man.
It is like, they say if you're too far ahead of somebody, they'll just think you're a lunatic. And I think that's what it is. You're just too far down that road from where they are, and you just sound nuts to them, But once you start seeing it, it's hard.
The road, I know people are gonna see it for what it is. I knew it for a long time. I don't make the big. I'm like, I guess time will tell on this. There only needs to be some sort of catalyst. You know what I'm saying? Something's gonna bring more people to it, more inquisitive, more intelligent people, more speculative people to come. More and more. And maybe it becomes bad and we get a bunch more point of views that don't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Eventually you can't, for me, everything is perspective. You insert my life at a certain time and have a great video and a great channel and it relates. And now we're continuing on this course of life. You know what I mean?
And I kind of feel like there's something for everybody. Do you feel like that? Do you feel if everybody looks long and hard enough, they'll finally come across a change that they'll recognize as being different? I mean, for sure. Do you feel like that?
For sure. Somebody's got something somewhere, and it's just a little bit of converse and listening. Like this is one thing weird, and you sound like this is your term a whole lot. Now we're here talking about what happened, but mostly just listening to all sorts of information. Now I still enjoy listening to people's perspectives and opinions, and I really enjoy watching people connect their own dots and their own perspective on what's going on, and then watching how it affects them in a good way. If I didn't introduce it as like CERN did this, or this is some terrible thing that happened, then nobody even thinks of it as a terrible thing that happened.
Right.
If you introduce it as something good and these changes and how do you see them, it's cool listening to somebody else's point of view who's seeing this, who's just now getting this information.
Yeah.
And like what you said, it's just kind of disheartening sometimes when people you care about or people you're friends or even acquaintances maybe want to stick things that are normal, or stick to what they've always had going on. And I think that was one of the first things that Christ talked about was like do nothing now. You know what I'm saying? Like now, what are you going to do now? You know what I mean? Like live in a certain type of way or a certain path, and then bam, a curveball happens. So are you going to adjust, or are you going to continue to think that everything that we were doing was the way it was supposed to be? And that's all. You know what I mean? Like
they're all catalysts. That's what I liked about the Law of One. They talk about these catalysts come into our lives, and they're sent to polarize us. They can either, push you towards looking at everything real pessimistic, or, make you see things more optimistic, or get you back on track where you need to be. And it's just sort of how we take it, but we shouldn't be lukewarm, as they say.
Yeah, you can't be lukewarm, man. I'm not lukewarm. but it's cool because the emotion from the effect allows us not to be so lukewarm. I mean, we're kind of like, no, check this out. I mean, you can be a little child. I can be a little childish about the effect sometimes. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think we all can. Just because it just brings out that part of your brain that you haven't really explored since you were a kid, because you're stop dreaming, stop, daydreaming. And, we actually should daydream. We should give our brain some time to breathe. But
right.
With this effect, it forces you to use your imagination. That's for sure.
What is it? I think Christ says something like to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must be like a child in the mind. I can't remember what scripture that is exactly, but to see how many cartoons have kind of flip-flops and things like that, and how you kind of have to be a little bit born again, reborn. It's a new upload here. We're not talking about, keeping the old format. Get on your phone and or click the update that you got going on.
Yeah, and for me personally, I was, as you get older, you're just sort of pushed to the left side of your brain. All the school pushes you to the left, the analytical side of your brain. And as you get older and older, you're told not to daydream. You're told not, that's fantasy world and all this. And you're just constantly pushed to the left. And then when this happened, it nudged me back to the right. It nudged me back to the supernatural, the impossible, the fantasy world. I'm like, what? I got to really, broaden my scope to see what's happening. And that's why I don't like CERN. CERN seems to be like a left brain answer to a right brain thing that's happening here.
Yeah, I mean, they're not wrong. Maybe they're right in a left brain world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we're going on an hour, man. I really appreciate you coming on with me.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me, man. I got the dogs wilding out. I got to get back to the fam and everything.
Okay, buddy. No problem, buddy. Well, is there anything you want to say before you go?
I was just going to say I appreciate everybody for watching, checking out the channel, man, and hopefully we get some new content up here and come up with some new material. Everyone give a like and subscribe to my man Shane over here.
I appreciate that, Drew. And I've got your links below, so you guys check out his channel, and we will see you on the next one. I'm going to stick around and chat with you guys, so stick around, and I'll be right there. And that'll be it. I appreciate you, Drew. Have a good one, buddy. If I missed any questions, I will get to you in the chat here. So with that, I'm signing off. You guys have a good one.